Let us continue with our lesson. So we have a response created already. So next step is let's go and create the endpoint. For the endpoint, let's create a constant val and we can say as a get underscore user profile. So user profile, and we need to pass the endpoint. So endpoint is over here. So we can just copy this endpoint and we go back to the Android Studio and paste that link. So we just remove the last one. So we need to, this is our endpoint API user detail, and we need to pass the path parameter over here. So that should be the user ID. And let's go to the network service over here, and let us create our function to make use of that endpoint. It should be of add get. That's the get we need to get, and inside this I will have the endpoints dot get user profile. And what we need to do is we need to create a suspend function, and this suspend function will be of a get user profile. And if you notice that what we have to do is we need to pass the authorization, so header. So let us create a header. So we need to pass the authorization, and what we also need to pass is the path parameter. So for that I'll create at path at path, and for the path we need to pass the ID. So it should be of a user ID, and it should be of ID, and let's say it's of a string data type. Sorry, not each, it should be ID and of the string data type. And what we'll do, okay, so that's, we need to close it, sorry, we need to close the brace over here. And I think that's the thing that we need to pass. One is the header, so authorization header we have to pass, and second is we need to pass the path ID. So how to get the path ID over here is what we have to do is let's open the inverted comma over here, and inside this let's create a variable of dollar endpoints, and if you pass the curly brace, and inside this curly brace let us paste our endpoint. So that should create our variable, and over here we need to pass the our ID. So ID is the ID that we have to pass. So just pass the ID over here. So that should pass this path over here. So path ID we have created here, and we are passing that one to our path over here. So that's the endpoint URL. So endpoint URL we have already created a /, and the ID is we are passing over here. So this ID is coming from this path that we have created. So that's how we are going to pass the path parameter to our retrofit over here. And finally, what we will do is we have to return. So what we'll return is a response, retrofit response, and we will get a user profile response. So that's, we created a function to get the user profile, and it will return a response of a user profile. So I think that's all for this lesson, and next video we'll go and create a repository to handle this API request or service. So let's meet up in the next lecture. Till then, have a great day.